All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Let's turn to our partner and give him a high five and say, we are ready for a sizzle. All right, so guys, this is going to be awesome here. We got two great sizzlers. No pun intended or whatever. So the idea here is, guys, we're also going to kind of film this thing and see how that works out. We're also practice on that so we can get these online. The key is that what we want to do with the 4-step process, and the whole point of everything that we're doing here is that we have a duplicatable system, right? Because there's a lot of people in the world that can go out and sell, and everybody in this room can probably go do that individually. But if you're not duplicatable, then we can't move together as a team, right? So that's why we want to have a 4-step process so that anybody that comes into our business in the future, while they're waiting for their license, gets to see our team, they get to see overviews, they get to see our code, they get to see the 4-step process, and then they get to see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll have 2 different examples from each one so that they can just get on that repetition, and when they're out in the field, they know what's going on, and then when they go with their field trainer or their SL, it's exactly kind of close to what we have organized, right? So we're always improving, always wanting to get better. So whatever works, we can make it happen. So today's 2 presentations are going to be more like a live one as much as they can. It's more going to be like Dan talking to somebody in the room or as a big presentation to everyone so we can kind of see how he does it. So we'll record this one. So obviously don't do, crazy things in the background like, texting all the time or whatever it is. Make sure your phones are off and all those kind of things so we can see if we can use this one. So Dan's been with us since the beginning here, and went out there out in the field and, opened up Big Blue and started doing it from the scratch, right? And then we've always, evolved and got it better with Chan and Dan and a bunch of different people to make this Sizzle into what it is. And now he's changed into exactly with his experience of what works, doesn't work, and what can get better. So let's give Dan a huge round of applause. All the markers are there.
You guys hear me on Zoom? You said
You just gotta hold it for 1 second?
yeah, I have.
Oh, just 1 second.
1, 2.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's off. Good job.
Oh. So can you guys hear me on Zoom?
Yeah, we can.
Perfect. Cool.
So you can use anybody in the room as an example or anything, Dan?
Who wants to be my client? Karen.
Karen, so we're gonna give you the mic also.
Awesome. So yeah, I wish they made flip charts for people that were 6'9". This is gonna be hard. Okay. Does it really? Whatever. So normally I don't present like this, but I'll do what I can. No. Well, I need that energy. Okay. So yeah, this is like, I've built rapport with someone. I sat down, they know a little bit about me, about why I'm doing this. We've gone through a couple of the steps. And now I get to the money-making part, which I believe is the sizzle, because the sizzle is basically your demonstration of your knowledge and your professionalism on what you do compared to everyone else. So basically, I'll start off with saying, you know what, like as a company in the insurance industry, we go against the grain against the insurance industry because we basically, a lot of the things that frustrate people about the insurance industry, we basically go the opposite direction. So it's something that people actually enjoy. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our company and then just kind of explain how we compare to the traditional insurance industry. Is that okay, Karen?
Yeah.
Okay. So the company we're with is called Combined. Have you heard of us, Karen?
No, I have not.
Yeah, most people haven't heard of us. It's because we're a word of mouth company. Basically we let our company speak for itself through our products. So just a little background about the company. We've been around since 1922. And we're rated A+ by AM Best. Are you familiar with AM Best, Karen?
I am not.
Okay, AM Best is like a recognized authority that ranks all the insurance companies. So we're rated A+ with them. So even though you haven't heard of us, we've been doing this for a very long time, and we're top ranking by AM Best. So that's good to know, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Great. So you know what? I'm just going to touch a little bit on traditional insurance, the type of insurances you're probably aware of. I'm sure you've heard of life insurance, correct?
I have it.
You have it.
I do.
Beautiful. It's great because you obviously want to take care of the people that are left over when you're gone, right? You probably heard of long-term disability,
I have.
heard of critical illness,
I have.
and you've probably heard about things like WCB as well, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is pretty much all everyone really thinks of when they're thinking insurances, whether you're a construction worker or whether you're just group benefits or self-employed. So just to touch a little bit on all of these, I don't want to knock any of these. These are all great coverages to have, and I think everyone should have them. However, I just want to acknowledge what some of the pitfalls can be about these insurances. Generally speaking, when you're talking life, you're paying premiums your whole life, month after month, so that when you die, your beneficiaries are taken care of, correct?
Right.
So, you know, as far as I can tell, you only die once. So this is a one-time use. So life insurance is important, but it's one-time use, and you're paying premiums your whole life for it, correct?
Right.
Long-term disability, that's what most people will have through their group benefit. Do you have group benefits or anything like that?
I don't.
Okay. Typically, they'll have what's called a waiting period. Do you know what a waiting period is?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just to kind of illustrate what that means, your average waiting period will be about 120 days. What that means is if you got, let's say you got disabled, sick, hurt, or anything like that today, you'd have to wait 120 days before you qualify to get any kind of benefit from your long-term disability. And even if you do qualify, if you are disabled for that 4 months or longer, you're getting about 66% of your income after that. Not a lot of people feel comfortable living on just 66% of their income. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. One thing I want to acknowledge is that about 80 to 90% of all of your disabilities actually will occur and heal up within 4 months. That's why these insurance companies put in that waiting period, because it means that they don't have to pay for the majority of things that are going to happen to you.
Right.
If you broke a bone, it takes about 2 or 3 months to heal, right?
Right.
Right. So, I mean, you know, you have to be pretty badly hurt to be able to qualify for long-term disability. Now, let's talk about critical illness. Once again, super important to have, because if you were to get a critical condition, you need about 6 to 12 months of income coming in to kind of get you through that time, correct?
Yeah. I probably would use my line of credit or.
Line of credit, yeah, exactly. You'd
Yeah.
start dipping into
It's
areas
kind of my
that you
emergency
probably would
fund.
rather not, correct? So critical illness, you know, very important. If you get a critical condition, you may get to use this once. Even if you do use it, your policy terminates, you're no longer insurable for critical illness. So it's a one-time use again, if you qualify for it. WCB is a lot like car insurance. They don't want to pay you. If you do use that insurance, you know, your premiums are going to go up. And the third thing is you're only covered while you're at work. And it's the same thing with your car insurance. You're only covered when it comes to your car. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yep.
So it's a very limited style of coverage, and we like to be a strong alternative to that as well. Okay. So that's pretty much the traditional insurance industry. That's pretty much what everyone knows about. I want to show you what we're doing a little bit differently.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'm going to go on my knees now because there's no other way. Now I'm officially 5'2". Okay, so one thing when it comes to us as an insurance company, I want you to see what we're doing differently. For one, we're unlimited, so which means you can use our coverage as many times as you need to throughout your lifetime, and there's no caps or limits to how often you can claim through our company, which is really nice to know, yeah?
So the premiums don't go up when you use it?
Good question. That's actually my next point. Doesn't matter how often you claim, it won't affect your premium. So even if we paid you, let's say 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever, you're still paying the same premium as you were before. So it's nice to know that you're not getting, like, you know, taken advantage of through your premiums after you use our coverage.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So yeah, your premiums will be unaffected. I'll just put UNA for unaffected. Now, we're also 24/7 coverage, so which means we're not just covering you at work, we're covering it all areas of your life. Whether you're at work, home, or at play, any of your lifestyle stuff's going to be covered. So, you know, a lot of people like to have fun in their life. I think you should have fun in life. So that includes things like dirt biking, quadding, scuba diving, snowmobiling, hunting, MMA, whatever you like to do, no matter how high risk it is, we are the one insurance company that will cover it, no questions asked.
Cool.
Right?
Well, I love MMA. I do it all the time.
Do you really? Oh, I'll have to come watch you fight sometime. I won't spar with you though. So yeah, we're 24/7. We are accident and sickness. That's where we like to focus. You know, we separate them because, you know, when it comes to accidents, any accidents can happen anytime. We want to make sure everyone knows that. But sicknesses, some people don't qualify for sickness because maybe they've had heart attack or stroke in the last few years. So even if they can't qualify for sickness, we can always get people accident coverage because anyone can get an accident at any time.
Gotcha.
And then we also give you that little bit more customizability so that you can choose how much you want to spend for your coverages and address the areas that are more of a concern for you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. We also pay 100% on top of any of your other insurances. So what that means, whether you have group benefits, WCB, EI, personal insurance, we won't interfere with it. Typically, if you're insured by 2 or more companies, they want to integrate the pay and pay you less somehow.
Yeah.
We don't do that. So with us, because we're supplemental insurance, we complement any other insurance, which means both parties are required to pay the full amount.
So if I make a claim under this program, will my other coverage be reduced?
No.
Okay.
No. That's what 100% on top means.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Next thing I want to talk about is that we're own occupation. This is a very huge thing, especially for people that are self-employed. Typically, own occupation means that it's only reserved for doctors, lawyers, people that are considered high income, low risk. We offer it to anyone. It literally means that our definition of total disability means if you are unable to do your specific profession due to an accident or illness, you are considered totally disabled.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of other typical versions of disability means if you can sit in a chair and call people, you're considered able to work.
Right.
Which is not fair for a lot of people. Even, if you're paralyzed from the waist down, you can still answer a phone, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean you're,
Doesn't mean that you're not totally disabled.
Yeah, you get my drift, right?
Yes.
Okay. And another thing that's important to note is that we're guaranteed renewable till the age of 85. Typically, insurance companies want to cover you up to 65. Do you want to know why?
Because the chance of something happening to you after you're 65 is higher.
Yeah, 65 is a typical retirement age. People, when they do that, their risk goes up. Sickness is the most prevalent in your 60s, 70s, and 80s. And even when you have an accident, if you break a bone, it takes a lot longer to heal.
For sure.
From that. So we go 20 years past the industry standard, and we'll cover you up until your 80s. Personal story of mine: both of my grandparents fell and broke their hips, and they both spent about a couple months in the hospital each. And had they had this coverage, it would have been well covered.
Right.
For something like this. So that makes a big difference. Even if you never use this your whole life, later in life, this is something you could totally use.
Right.
It's nice to know, yeah? All right, that's pretty much the meat and potatoes of what we're doing differently. So I'm going to flip this over so I can stand on my feet again a little bit. Okay, so now, well, actually, no, let me backtrack a little bit. Let's go back to these coverages right here. Wouldn't it be nice to have a coverage that would address all of these different situations in one product?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be an expensive one.
Possibly. But think about this, Karen. Let's say that you became injured at work. Let's say that you had a critical illness. Let's say you became disabled. Where's the first place you go?
Hospital.
Correct. Even when you die, there's hospitalization usually involved, right? So don't you think that that's the one missing link that kind of ties all of these other coverages together? Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Great. So that's what I want to talk about next is our hospital plan. We're the only ones I know of that do this as well as we do. So the first thing that I'm going to show you our accident hospital plan just for simplicity and time. But think about this. Have you ever been hospitalized?
Just when I had my kids.
When you had your kids? So that counts, right? And do you know anyone else that's been hospitalized?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Everyone knows somebody that's been to the hospital for some reason or other. So think about what would happen if from this day forth, we could do this for you. Let's say you became an inpatient at the hospital. That means that you're staying overnight or minimum 20 hours in the hospital due to some kind of accident. What we're going to do for you is we're going to pay you $300 a day, starting from day one, tax-free, which means the first day that you're hospitalized, this kicks in for you. So It's almost as if you never missed a day of work. And that'll go up to a full year of hospitalization per injury, which means, God forbid, you spent a year in the hospital for one injury, but if you had another injury, this would reset.
So virtually unlimited.
Basically, no one ever stays a full year in the hospital, but we do go up to a full year anyway.
Right.
Okay, now let's say you went to the ICU. You're familiar with ICU, Karen?
Yes.
What it means is that you're much more hurt than just staying in the hospital. It means you're in a very critical state. If that were ever to happen to you, God forbid, we're going to pay you $1,500 a day, tax-free, for each day that you spend in the ICU. Sounds like a lot of money, but trust me, if you're ever in the ICU, this is money that you're going to need for your situation. Personal story that I always like to use is earlier this year, a client of mine was hospitalized due to a broken neck. Did you hear about that kid in Sherwood Park that broke his neck?
I did, yeah.
All over the news, yeah? That kid was my client. As time would have it, I signed him up about 3 months before this happened. And, you know, he spent 17 days in the ICU, and he spent about another 7 months in the hospital past that. He got sent home probably about a month ago.
Wow.
You can see how a plan like this would make all the difference for him, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah.
His mom was able to take time off work, basically quit her job, and they had money to basically pay for rehab, re-outfit their home, and get certain equipment that will help him with his rehab as he goes through this time. That would be pretty important for a mother and her son, yeah?
Absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, that's one area I like to touch on. But think about this. They send you home from the hospital as soon as possible, correct?
Usually, yes.
Yeah. So what happens? Are you ready to go right back to work the day after they send you home?
God, no.
No. So we're going to pay for your recovery on top of whatever you're getting over here. So it doesn't just stop there. The way it works is that we're always going to pay 10 days minimum, no matter what, or we're going to pay 3 times. So, do you know, I'm going to illustrate what that means. Let's say you spent 1 night in the hospital, the bare minimum. You get $300, right?
Yep.
We're automatically going to tack on an additional 10 days of recovery for you, which is going to be $3,000, which means 1 night in the hospital, whether you go back to work the next day or not, we're going to pay you $3,300 minimum.
Wow.
So you know what that does for people? We don't know why you spend a night in the hospital, but we do know that you'll probably need time to recover. A lot of people go back to work too soon because maybe they're paycheck to paycheck, or maybe companies like WCB want to force them to go back to work.
Right.
Okay, we want to give people that option to still get their money for the month, pretty much,
Yeah.
and have their bills paid so that they can come back to work when they're healed up, instead of exacerbating an injury that's already existing.
Okay.
That make sense?
Yes.
Now let's talk a little bit more catastrophic hospitalization scenarios. Let's say you spent 2 months in the hospital for something relatively serious. That's 60 days times $300 a day. That's $18,000 just for your hospital stay. $9,000 a month. All right, it sounds like a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
Yeah. Now let's say that, you know, the way our recovery pays is we'll pay you up to 3 times the number of days you were hospitalized, which means we'll pay you up to 180 days of recovery times $300 a day, which is $54,000. What that means is, God forbid you spend that long in the hospital eating that crappy hospital food, we're going to pay you around $72,000 as a tax-free benefit, which pretty much covers your year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, you don't know why someone was hospitalized that long, but $72,000 pays for the mortgage, pays for the rent, and pays for the food.
For sure.
Keeps the lights on. Yeah. It's even more than some people make in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's recovery. Now, on top of that, what happens if you're not hospitalized? You're an outpatient.
No,
right?
I guess I'm at home.
Yeah. You'll say you're in and out in a day. What we do is we'll cover you for any fractured bones. Man, my writing's brutal. I don't like writing on these. Can everyone see this? Yeah. Okay, great. We pay for any fractured bone and any surgery. So think about this. A fractured bone could be your pinky, your tooth, your nose, your arm, your leg. Doesn't matter. Any bone qualifies. And surgery is anything to do with broken skin. So if you got stitches, or they had to cut something off or move something around, and it prevented you from working, we're going to pay you up to $4,200 per fracture and per surgery. Once again, it takes care of your month, right? Keep in mind, this is unlimited usages, and it doesn't affect your premium.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. Now, on top of all of that, we're going to reimburse your ambulance. Ambulances aren't free. I got about a $400 bill when I took an ambulance last time. So we'll reimburse up to $600 of your ambulance bill, which once again is another area that we cover you. So when you look at this, you got 5 different coverages on one product: inpatient, right. ICU, recovery, outpatient, and ambulance.
Yeah.
Not bad, right? Now think about, oh yeah, by the way, this comes in a family plan.
Okay.
A lot of people think about insuring the breadwinner because they're the ones bringing in the money.
Right.
But the reality is, if you're a family man as a breadwinner or a family woman, what happens if your spouse or your kids go to the hospital? Are you going to be at work? Or are you going to be with your family in the hospital?
Probably still going to have to go to work.
Not unless you have this, right?
Right.
This will make sure that, because if you want to be with your family, you're obviously not going to be making money. It's a no-brainer. You're going to be with your family. This creates that option for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So insuring your whole family is an option that we can provide as well. I want to talk about a couple other products and then I'll be done. Is that okay?
Sure. How much is that one?
Don't worry, I'll get to that. You're going to like
Devil's advocate.
it. You're going to like it. Don't worry. Okay, what
Can't
we
be a
have here
lay
is
down
called,
client.
what's that?
I can't just be a lay down client.
Well, no, you shouldn't. Give me a hard time. I don't mind. I do this for a living.
I'm a pro.
All right, so the NITOP, this is a really nice add-on for the hospital plan. It really complements it well, especially for people that are active or maybe a little bit accident prone. Anytime that you ever need physio due to an accident or injury, we're going to pay you up to $1,000 toward your physio per injury. So it's not like you have benefits of $500 per year that you get to disperse against chiro and massage. This is per injury for physio. And I used this coverage earlier this year. My girlfriend used it last year, and we both had coverage through Blue Cross. So this was paid over and above our benefits on Blue Cross. So it was like getting paid to go to physio. Nice. Stitches. Do you ever know anyone that's ever gotten stitches?
Yes, I do.
What if I told you that anyone that got stitches with this product, you're going to get a flat $700 immediately. If you go to the hospital, you get stitched up, we're going to pay $700. That'll cover about a day or two of your wages, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. Now, what we have here is an ambulance payout. So remember I showed you the reimbursement side?
Right.
This is an additional payout on top of your reimbursement.
Okay.
So we're going to give you an additional $250 on top of whatever your ambulance bill is going to be. Once again, because if you took an ambulance, you probably lost a day.
Right.
Yeah. Now, what we have here is accidental death and dismemberment for 15 grand. It's not a life insurance policy. It's just money to cover some of the death costs. So funeral, casket, things like that. If you don't die and you lose your hands or your feet, we're going to pay you the money instead. Make sense?
Okay. Great.
So that's a really nice policy. Very affordable. And the last thing I want to show you is our short-term disability. All right. So the way our disability works, it's a very unique disability. Of all the disabilities I've ever seen, it's probably the easiest product that you're going to claim on. They claim on this product, our clients, more than any of our other products. So it's very, very easy to claim on. So the way it works is because it's so easy to claim on, we're going to pay you a maximum of $2 grand a month. It's not necessarily going to replace your income, but keep in mind this does stack with other disabilities if you have a group benefit. But standalone, if you had just this, it will at least keep your mortgage and your rent paid.
Right.
Right? It's going to keep you from dipping into your savings should you be unable to work.
Right.
Now, the thing that I love about this, because I like to travel, is that it's worldwide coverage. Most disabilities, if you leave the country, you're null and void. If they say you're good enough to travel, you're not disabled. That's not true with us. If you're injured anywhere in the world, you can go anywhere or you can come home. You qualify for our disability. Make sense?
Yeah.
The main thing is that you need a North American doctor to validate your disability.
Okay.
Can't have fraud, right?
Okay.
Yeah. We have no waiting periods. So remember we were talking about waiting periods before?
Yes.
Yeah. So here, we pay you right from day one. You qualify the day that you got injured or sick, which is really nice to know that you can get a check for even a week or two of being disabled. When I tore my hamstring earlier this year, I was out for 2 weeks of partial disability. So I was still working actually, but because I was partially disabled, I still qualified for disability. That's pretty cool, right?
That's very cool.
You see how it's easy to claim on? This is also ONOC. So I want to reiterate that. This is an ONOC disability, which means if you're not able to do your specific job, you're considered totally disabled. It also means if you had another job doing something else, you'd still qualify to get paid on our disability.
Wow.
Okay. Now, probably the number one selling feature, why everyone likes our disability and why it's so popular is, a lot of people hate the idea. A lot of people don't get insurance because they're afraid, what if I don't use it? And year after year, I've lost all that money on my insurance.
Right.
Some people identify with that, some don't. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't particularly like paying for something that I am not going to use.
Exactly. I mean, insurance, you don't really know. You're paying for something that could happen, but if it doesn't happen, wouldn't it be nice to know that you could get all your money back?
That'd be amazing.
Great. That's what we do here for you. It's called 100% return of your premium. Very few companies will give you all of your money back when it comes to insurance. This is what our disability does. It's a bit of a longer term plan. It's a 20-year term. But what it means is that if you pay into this for 20 years, we're going to pay back everything into it, pay you back 100% of what you put into it, minus anything that you might have pulled out of it for claims.
So what if I make a claim and then I don't get the money back?
You'll get the difference back. So
Gotcha.
let me explain. Let's say you wanted the top coverage, $2 grand a month.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to write you a check in 20 years. for $30,000, approximately $30,000. If you did use disability during that 20 years, which is bound to happen for a lot of people,
Yeah.
we're going to subtract that off here and pay you the difference. So
Gotcha.
my clients really like this because it eliminates their risk, and it basically means one way or another, you're getting your money back.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's a really nice sound plan. And once again, unlimited usages, tax-free. It's a really easy product to digest. You do have the option for no return of premium. I want to acknowledge that as well. It means you don't get any of your money back, but it's cheaper per month for the same
Right.
amount of coverage. So
Okay.
you have that option as well. What makes more sense for you?
Well, it depends what the price is.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Well, let's talk about the price. Let's go back to the hospital plan. Now look at the hospital plan. We pay you $300 a day tax-free, pretty much unlimited. You got 5 different uses, 5 uses: inpatient ICU recovery, fracture surgery, and ambulance payouts. How much do you think that would be worth per month?
Oh, probably like $100.
$100? That's a really good guess. Some people guess 100, 150, 200, some people more. This one's only $56 per month. Very affordable for the value that you get. All right. Now, this one does come in a family plan, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. This iTop on here, you got 4 different coverages on one product, 4 different ways to claim. This one costs $12 a month. Super affordable. The way that I explain it is, if you got stitches once every 5 or 6 years and nothing else ever happened, this
Right.
will pay for itself.
Yeah.
Now, our disability, this costs a little bit more, but that's because you're getting all of your money back.
Right.
Right? So this one costs about $125 a month to get your full return of premium. So it's like putting $100 away for a rainy day and just saving for yourself at the same time.
Right.
If you don't want them to get your money back, you just want the coverage, no problem. You're looking at about $72 a month. All right.
Cool.
So once again, when we go back to all of these options, all of these can also be tiered down to whatever budget makes sense for the client. So we don't want to tell you, you have to pay this or you have to pay that. You tell me, and I will customize a package that will address all of your concerns within a budget that makes sense for you.
Cool.
That makes sense? Okay, cool. Now let's talk about the family plan. This is the newest thing we're doing, and it's like really exciting. As I mentioned before, a lot of people don't realize they can protect the whole family, but if you could, let's say that you really like this plan. You're looking, you have a family, if you have any kids, 2 kids?
My kids are grown up, but I have.
Let's say that they weren't.
Yeah, I have friends that have kids.
Okay,
Yeah.
So let's base this on a family of 4, like a nice average size family. If you wanted everyone to have our accident hospital plan, you're looking at about 56 times 4. That's $224 per month, correct?
Yeah.
It's not an unreasonable number to protect your whole family. However, with our family plan, we've made it very enticing. With our family package, everyone in your family gets the exact same coverage as I discussed before for $136 a month.
Wow.
You're looking at about 40% savings on that. That makes a lot more sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Now, the best part, this is my favorite part about our family plan. Let's say you didn't have just 2 kids. Let's say you had 4 kids, 6 kids, 10 kids, 12 kids, doesn't matter. Let's say you got split marriages and multiple kids on both sides. It's the same price.
Wow.
So basically, the more kids you have, the more of a discount you get. God
That's
forbid
crazy.
anyone in your family goes to the hospital, but if they did, everyone qualifies for that.
That's
Does
crazy.
that make a lot of sense for you?
Yeah.
Cool. Now, just backtracking. Well, actually, I'm not going to go with the final price. But yeah, I'm going to basically just close this off by saying, if this is something that makes a fit for you, what resonates the most with you?
Well, probably not for me, the family one, but I can think of a friend that can definitely use that, and
Yeah,
it
you can
makes
probably
sense
think
for
of a few
them.
people that have families and would probably do anything to protect their kids.
Yeah.
I would love the opportunity to show them this just like the same way I showed it to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. That's pretty much it, guys.
Round of applause. Great job. So, anybody got any questions really quickly?
I get a lot of people that go, you can only get $2,000 and they make over $100,000, and they're saying, $2,000 isn't going to go very far. So would you go to Income Guard with that?
I would, or I'd refer them to someone that had a disability plan that made more sense for them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Through this, I would recommend anyone. Our products aren't the answer to everyone's problems, to be honest. Our products are great for supplementing and for people that are average income, but for high income, find a broker that has a solid disability product that's and then just refer to them. Honestly, Income Guard is great though. Yeah, it's a very affordable option.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Any other questions for anybody?
Anyone, Zoomer in the room? Questions? Comments? Typically I would, but this is just a quick, obviously you can do whatever you like when you do your Sizzle. I always talk about sickness.
Do you have a separate Sizzle for sickness then? If they
No.
just go through this.
What I typically say about sickness is I'm like, everyone's enticed by accident because of the price, but the reality is that sickness is the one that you should be worried about, because sickness is what gets us all in the end, and your chances of a sickness getting you are a lot actually higher than accident, unless you're a roofer or in the trades. Sickness is the one you got to watch out for, and it pays out a lot more, because typically when you're sick, you're going to be out for a lot longer than if you were just hurt.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
I have a question. So what if you sit down with somebody and they feel that they're already overinsured, they have a good wage, like Karen said, she has a line of credit, savings, a bank account. How do you face that objection?
Well, I'd say great. Do you know how your coverage works? When was the last time you looked at it?
And even still, even if they have a 60, 90-day waiting period, they feel that they can draw from their line of credit, from their $50,000 credit card, or their savings account. So is there anything else that you could say? Well,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Thanks, Paige. Paige, you want to say? Give Paige the mic. No, give Paige the mic. This is a collaborative experience.
I just experienced it, yeah.
Yeah, Paige, no, it's a good question.
I would just ask straight up, why would you want to use your own money when you could use ours?
Does that answer your question?
Not really, because what they're saying makes sense. Is there just some people that you don't try to push it through and say, oh, well, you sound really covered. It doesn't sound like this might be a fit for you right now?
This is kind of what I would say is like, I totally understand where you're coming from. Some people do have 3 to 6 months income reserve that they could use towards something like this. But I asked them this: when you save up, when you create your nest egg, or when you're saving this, you'd prefer to use it for investments, trips, things that you actually want to do in life, correct?
Yeah.
So if something were to happen to your family, wouldn't it be awful if you had to like dip into your personal savings just to pay for something that you hadn't anticipated, when all you had to do was make the initiative to pay a much smaller fee to protect yourself in the first place?
Right. The one thing that I have to say that this person liked was the return of premium on the disability, because they were getting their money back and they're going to get a lump sum. So that was one thing that attracted them, but paying premiums over a lifetime when they had a lifetime of savings already, or cash on hand, or money they can draw on, just didn't make sense. And so I didn't push it very much, but I just focused on the disability because that was something that they were attracted to.
Some people with good cash flow, but they're obviously don't like the idea of losing money. Return of premium is a great option for them. I have a few realtors that they're making 6 figures, and they just like the idea that it's a guarantee that they'll get their money back. So it really boils down to asking the right questions. I mean, everyone has their own little buttons about what resonates with them the most in a little bit, but getting disability with return of premium is great. But honestly, to getting them even on our base hospital plan is huge, because that product is phenomenal, and there's nothing else out there like that. So I would suggest get them on a return of premium, but also, make sure that you get them on some kind of base hospital plan.
Hi, Dan, it's Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. One example I give is I have a friend where I spent New Year's Eve with them. He was very healthy. Nothing wrong with him. No pre-existing, no nothing. By January 15th, he was rushed to the hospital. He just got out of the hospital 2 weeks ago. He was in and out of ICU. He, very, very sick man, his pancreas went. So he was in the hospital for, September, that was 7 months?
Yeah.
nothing expected. They live in Crossfield. His wife was driving from Crossfield into Foothills Hospital to Calgary every day. I think he was in ICU more than he was in just the regular hospital, and he's
Wow.
just got home now. He's got a huge recovery ahead of him, and he has no insurance.
Yeah.
So that is an example of when you say about health, just like accident health, you never know when it's going to happen. And even if he had 3 months saved, his 3 months is long gone.
Oh, for sure. And that's a really powerful story, because I mean, when you're talking to people, no one thinks they're going to get sick, and you can't sit there and have an argument with them that they could. It's a losing battle because they already have it set in their head. But the reality is you tell a story like that one, and it may actually get them thinking, because you can't say, well, you might get sick, you better get this because you might get sick. You don't say that, right? So you tell a story about someone else, and if that resonates with them, it'll at least get them thinking. I actually literally have a story myself. I just signed up a mechanic on accidental 2 months ago, and I said, you really should consider sickness, because that's the big one. That's what I've been telling everyone. He texts me 3 days ago saying he's in the hospital with appendicitis. Am I covered? And I was like, well, sir, do you remember the conversation we had? He's like, yeah. And he's like, how much is it for the sickness? I'm like, don't worry, we'll talk. But people that have never been sick, or never had anyone close to them get sick, it's really hard to explain to them what a sickness feels like, and how you can just be, when it comes to an accident, an accident's because you were driving, you don't see it coming, but you can understand why it happened. You can't always understand why a sickness comes. You could be sitting at your desk one day and just drop. And until you've experienced that firsthand, it's not something that people will really understand. But the story is pretty powerful for that.
Dan, I just wanted to ask, one of the businesses that I presented to actually saw the fact that their employees would be getting compensation to allow them to stay home as a deterrent. So I just wondered how you might address something like that, because you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean,
they're not going to come back to work because they're going to be getting paid, and it's like a demotivating thing. And it was a real objection for them.
No, and I get that. And I mean, you could once again, you could be like, well, maybe they won't. Like that. That's a glass is half empty approach. But the truth is, they already have group benefits, I'm guessing. Yeah.
I can answer some of that too.
1 second, Emery.
Yeah.
When it comes to something like that, it's when it comes to hospitalization, you can't really fake that. I mean, when you're hospitalized, it's pretty legit. They're not going to keep you there unless they know there's something seriously wrong. But a lot of employers, I find, aren't as interested in getting the short-term disability for that reason. So, I mean, it really, once again, I mean, the recovery, once again, let them stay home and not work if they've suffered, if they've been hospitalized for some reason. Like it's not for the boss to tell them that they should be coming back. Like the recovery period will end at the time that the client qualifies for their disability to end. So, I mean, it's the employer is just, maybe a slave driver. I don't know. Because yeah, if you care about your people, some people will milk the system, but we don't not get insurance because we're worried about this. So the people that will milk the system, you can't get rid of those people. They're going to be everywhere. So it's really about protecting the people that actually do need that coverage.
It's more of a culture issue that needs to be addressed.
Could be a culture issue as well. Yeah. Anne-Marie, did you have something else to add to that?
Yeah, you basically said it. I mean, it's really making the owner understanding that people should not be obligated to come back to work if they really need to recover. They will be more appreciative and they will keep the people as a retention. But depending on the business, and this is where it's really something we need to pay attention is the type of business we talk to, because there's a construction company that I did a presentation, and there's two guys in their company that are milking the system right now with WCB. Well, who do you think is paying for that? The company. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's combined or if it's Manulife or WCB or whoever. If somebody doesn't have integrity and they're going to try to milk the system, they will.
Yeah.
Right? So, go ahead.
No, that's a really good point. You go ahead.
No, that's basically it. Like it's really if you're talking to a company that are really high risk and they're worried that people will milk the system when combined and they're not going to come back to work, ask them this question. Well, if they do that anyway with WCB, is your premium going to be affected? Not just the fact that they're not coming back, but now you're paying more, right? Like kind of that way. So yeah,
Well,
that's
sorry, just to jump in, Anne-Marie, like the truth is you can also tell the employer, you know what, that maybe they are milking the system, but at least the money's not coming out of your pocket and it's not affecting your premium. I mean, with WCB, it does affect the employer, but with our coverage, it doesn't. So let them take the recovery time. It's none of your business. You don't tell them that, but that's what I think. Yeah, and that's another reason why our coverage is a good alternative to WCB. Yeah, that is a common thing because people realize when they get injured outside of work that they're kind of screwed, and they will basically abuse their rights of WCB at work.
So I have one thing I wanted to say to Josie, and then a comment that you asked for comments, and I wanted to give you a couple comments. Number one, Josie, again, stories always sell. However, it only takes one incident to deplete your savings account, and then more than likely you would be uninsurable after that. What would you use the next time? So I really think it's really important that people understand that, you know what, why would you use your savings? That's not what you were saving for in the first place. Why would you want it to go towards this?
Yep.
So those are things that I'd say. But my comment to you, Dan, is I love through your whole entire presentation, you had Karen saying, yes, 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 yes. This is really great, isn't it? This is a benefit, isn't it? Wouldn't that feel great? All of these things, you had her nodding and saying yes, 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 yes to everything, got her into that mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really impressed with that. And a lot of your comments that you made were more statements. It was question, question, statement, question, question, statement, and all of them gave an agreeable response from her.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the end, you asked her, not what did she think, but what resonated the most with her, with what she saw.
Mm-hmm.
So I really highly compliment everything that you did. It was
Thank you.
incredible. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
Awesome. Let's give everybody that shared a D6 one clap. Boom. And let's give Dan a huge round of applause. That was awesome. Fantastic. Great job, Dan. We'll get Paige all set up here.
Family coverage.
We got
Very, very good.
Perfect. All right, Dan, we'll get you switched up here. You forgot this part. Hold on a second. Just rip that off.
Oh.
All right, guys. So we're gonna have Paige come up now. Do a little bit different of a Sizzle. So that's a great quality presentation. Sit down, Sizzle. You went through all the steps. It's you probably had the house before that to educate them, but it's a good recap on a lot of great things, and there's a lot of skill sets from that. So I did get it recorded. We'll check out if the angles work with everything like that. I'll definitely get Dan recorded again. But the idea is to watch that, to listen to it. We'll get it up on the D6 site, so you can listen to it and watch it and all that kind of stuff. But that's Dan's presentation from the get-go. It's altered, it's changed, it's moved forward. The next one up here is Paige. What we're going to do with Paige here is she's going to do her Sizzle. It's going to be a little bit quicker, correct?
Yeah, it's like a napkin style.
Yeah, more of a napkin style. This is more towards the idea that you're just going to sit down with somebody, coffee shop, quick Sizzle, and to book a second appointment, right? Almost gets them excited. Dan's was more, hey, sit down, one go, or he's maybe done a quick, sit down or whatever, get a referral to that one, right? And that's or a group presentation for that matter. So let's give Paige a huge round of applause.
Is this on?
Yeah, you're all good to go.
Okay.
So you want to use anybody?
No.
Oh, yeah, I gotta come to that. Are you using anybody as an example?
Blair later.
Blair? Sure.
Yeah. You're good with that, Blair, still?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where's my old house? So just for everybody to have a recap, this is what I did. A napkin style presentation was the house on Monday. So from there, I'm gonna do both the napkin style for everything, just so everybody has like the full presentation side, or you have 5 minutes in front of a business owner to impress him. What do you do? So again, with our end goal is so that combined will pay for all these bills that keep coming in, bring your household peace of mind. Go right into the Sizzle. So at this point, I've already said thank you for having me, my why, everything like this. So Blair, just for the purpose of this quick presentation, I'm just going to show you a little bit of a product that makes us a little bit different in the industry and what we're so excited about. So the first thing we pay on is our hospitalization plan. We're going to talk about accident only. So if you were to go into the hospital as an inpatient, which means you're there for 20 hours minimum, we're going to pay you $300 a day. We also pay ambulance. So we pay up to $600, and that includes air or ground. We also pay if you were to be an outpatient. So if you did not have to go into the hospital for 20 hours, say it was just a break or a stitch, we pay up to $4,200 per incident. How we get this number, Blair, is we take 14 days of recovery times by 300 a day. Gives you that 4,200 there.
Oh, okay.
We also pay if you were recovering. So how we pay is minimum 10 days. So we pay minimum $3,000 for one night stay in the hospital. Or we pay 3 times the amount of days stayed in the hospital. So say, for example, let's calculate a week in the hospital. We would have, this is kind of awkward, sorry. 7 days in hospital at $300 a day. Blair, do you have a calculator on you?
Yes, I do.
So just times 7 days by $300 for me.
Okay, 2,100.
2,100, perfect. So that would be as an inpatient, but like I said, we pay for recovery. So 3 times the amount of days would be 7 times 3 is 21 days of recovery at $300 a day. So Blair, what's 21 times 300?
21 times 300 is 6,300.
6,300, exactly. So just a side note, I got them to interact with me, type it on their calculators so they're engaged. So Blair, for 7 days in the hospital, we would give you a tax-free benefit of $8,400.
Wow.
So if you had $8,400, would you rather recover here or in Mexico?
Absolutely, Mexico. Before the earthquake.
So Blair, I'm sorry, I'm a little off today. I'm not feeling the best, but Blair, this is what we call our Cadillac package. So for this, what do you think? I'm missing something. Oh
I see
my
you,
God,
yeah.
you guys, I'm, like I said.
Outpatient.
No, I see you. We pay $1,500 a day. So Blair, has anything ever happened to you accident-wise that you feel you would have benefited had you have had this type of coverage? Have you ever been hospitalized?
Yes. I was admitted to the hospital for 30 days.
30 days, oh wow.
But was only able to stay for 10 because I had no plan B.
So you were forced to go back to work?
I was forced to go back to work, yeah. I went back injured.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Blair, do you mind if we just calculate what you would have gotten had you have had this coverage?
Yeah, I'd like to see that actually.
Okay, for
Might be
sure.
depressing,
So let's
for
just
the
go with your
future.
10 days to start,
Yeah,
okay?
10
10 days in hospital, because that's what you actually would have claimed. So let's go, and was this ICU, Blair, or was this regular hospital?
A regular hospital.
Regular hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got $300 a day, like I had showed you here before. So do you still have that calculator
I do.
handy? Okay. So what's 10 times 300 a day?
3,000.
Okay. So we would have gotten $3,000 for this. So remember I said our recovery, we pay minimum 10 days or 3 times the amount of days stayed in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So we go 10 times 3 equals 30 recovery days at 300 a day. So Blair, what's 30 times 300?
30 times 300 is 9,000.
9,000. Okay. So that will give us a total of $12,000. So although this doesn't take away what had happened to you, Blair, do you think that having that $12,000 in the specific moment in your life would have helped you?
Absolutely would have made big difference. Yeah.
It
I
would
wouldn't
have.
have to dip into my savings or use my credit card, which, yeah.
And so you were saying that you should have stayed, the injury was bad enough that you should have stayed 30 days?
Yeah.
Why don't we
admitted
calculate
for
that
30
as well?
days. My wife fought to get me out in 10, so.
Wow. So why don't we go, so we did 30 at 300 is the 9,000 here. So Blair, what's 30 times 3? Let's figure out your recovery had you have stayed the full amount of time.
30 times 3 is 90.
Yeah, times 300.
Yeah, 90 times 300.
Yeah.
Yeah, 27,000. Oh, yeah, I'm not damn sure.
So Blair, had you have stayed in the hospital for your full 30 days like the doctor ordered you to, but you fought against because you needed to go back to work, we would have paid you a tax-free benefit of $36,000. So going back to the policy I just showed you here, how much do you think something like this would cost you monthly?
Oh, right around probably 175, 200, I would guess.
175, 200?
Yeah, $200, yeah, a month.
You know, I do get that a lot. Lots of people say that it's, for the value, they think it's well over $100. Actually, Blair, for our most expensive package, it's $56 a month.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
So usually from there, once I announce that it's $56, I usually go through with doing something. Usually someone has their own specific case where they have been in the hospital, or someone that they love dearly has suffered with cancer, or like my brother just got his foot squished under drill pipe. We all know somebody that has gotten hurt or sick. So don't be scared to ask them a situation, because seeing that Blair could have gotten $36,000 as a tax-free benefit for his initial $56 investment, that clicks for people. And so only Blair knows what him and his wife had to go through in that hard time. You know, if he was getting pulled out 20 days earlier, I'm sorry, Blair, that must have been very hard for you.
Yeah, that was,
yeah. So again, back to what I was showing you before with the house, is that we're trying to bring your household peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So for $56, you get all that. So then I go into my next little part of a Sizzle, which is the iTop AD&D combo. So I say we do what's called a blue collar package. So for someone like yourself who's a high risk profession, we pay $65,000 for any accidental death or dismemberment of 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes. We pay $32,500 for any loss of 1 arm, 1 leg, 1 eye. We pay $700 as a flat rate for any stitch that you have to get, even if it's taped, glued, or sutured. We pay you $700. This is over and above anything that I showed you before on the hospitalization plan. We pay $1,000 per incident. So that's $50 times 20 visits for your physio. And we also do a flat fee of $250 ambulance, which gets stacked on top of the $600 I was showing you here. So essentially you could get up to $850 for your ambulance. And this cost right here is $17.50 per month.
Okay. Interesting.
So when I'm doing just a quick sizzle, because like I said, sometimes you only have 5 to 10 minutes to make a first initial impression for them to want to book a second appointment to see a full presentation. So unlike Dan's, who went into a lot of details, this is more of get your foot in the door, you're having coffee with a friend, napkin presentation. So then I always go back and I say, okay, so these, so for the full Cadillac package, it's $73.50 a month. And then of course from there we can work within your budget. We can do half of this for half the price. And we have something as low as $14 a month as well. Then I open up if they want to see more, because now I've piqued their interest and they're actually even more curious. I grab my binder and I go straight into the big blue. So again, and then I highlight everything that we do with the unlimited claims, 24/7 coverage, and something that I really emphasize on is that it's a non-cancelable renewable policy. So it doesn't matter how many times you have to make a claim. Combined cannot say, Blair's a liability, he claimed 10 times this year, he had 10 different broken bones or incidences, we're canceling him. So that will never happen until age 85. You get to keep your policy that you choose with us. You also get unlimited amount of claims and your premiums don't raise. So I just go through all those little details, but I do it in the big blue because then it's, I've done my legal side of things. They see it's more official. And now because I've opened it and they're still sitting there listening, then I just continue on with the presentation. Then I say we have the exact same plan for something sickness. So if I have more time there, then I say we just have to go through a couple qualifying, questions and then go into that sizzle as well.
Awesome. Let's give her a huge round of applause. Fantastic. Anybody want to have any questions for Paige at all? A couple quick questions. Finish up. Yeah, Zoom too. Quick questions.
Zoom?
You can't hear me.
Oh, Zoom, do you have any questions? Quick questions?
Everybody in the room? All good to go? All right, so let's just take a quick minute here, guys, as we set up for the last little part here. Just turn to your partner and be like, what's the one nugget you learned from Dan? What's the one nugget you learned from Paige? And on Zoom, do the same thing. Just what's the one nugget that you learned from Dan, one from Paige? Just take a quick minute to do